Rock and Joe. Rock and Joe. Rock and Joe. Rock and Joe. Rock and Joe.
I'm ready.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Rock and Jouv show.
What's going on, y'all?
Took us a couple days to process what had happened.
I don't recall. Do you recall? Do you recall anything noteworthy happening?
Unfortunately, I think I will for the rest of my life.
Fuck it now.
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll just rip it off like a Band-Aid. We'll just talk about it for a minute or two. I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, it was a big deal for the Celtics to make it this far. Obviously, we're talking about Golden State beating the Celtics in 6 in Boston, winning their 4th title in the last, 7 years or something.
Yeah, I think it's 4 titles in 8 years.
4 titles in 8 years, bringing the Golden State Warriors to the 3rd most titles all time behind the Lakers and the Celtics,
shit.
who were tied for 1st.
Did they pass up Chi-Town?
They did. Yep. So that's 4
that's
titles.
Your spot.
Yeah,
that's your spot. Chi-Town.
Yeah, Chirac.
Rickety Rack.
Rickety.
Yeah, we could officially use the D word though.
Which one?
Dynasty.
Oh, I think that's fair. I think, yeah. I mean, that to come back and win it,
It cements all doubt.
Yeah,
doubt.
so the Warriors had won in 1947, 1956, 1975, and then 4 with this current dynasty. But they weren't the Golden State Warriors.
They were San Francisco for a while. Were they Philadelphia before that? I'm pretty sure they were Philadelphia Warriors.
They were the Philadelphia Warriors in 1947. Yes. So that doesn't count because they beat the Chicago Stags 4-1, and it was a BAA finals, and that doesn't count.
Wait, that was in 47?
Yes.
So that was like the first fucking one.
It had to have been, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then
I would venture to say Mickey Mouse.
That's Mickey Mouse. That wasn't even played in the NBA, so that doesn't count.
How did the Lakers not win that shit? For the Lakers, was it like I feel like 46-47? I feel like the Lakers would have had George Mike in.
I don't know. Blew a lead. Anyway, I mean, this was just, if I can
maybe
look.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I believe you. But if I can just look positively. Okay, so, yes, for reference, Al is in the car again. He's driving.
I'm in the car, so I don't got shit, bro.
Whatever's
popping off my tongue, whatever's coming out of my brain, that is what it is.
He's not liable for any of that, and neither am I. Nobody is.
No.
The podcast is an LLC, so the business will take the hit.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, man, this was a series in the beginning. And I mean, tied 2-2 going back to Boston, or to go to Golden State. I was like, man, we can do this. I was like, we can win this game. I was more sure of anything to win that 6th game, or to win the 5th game. I'm sorry, and we just fell short. Lost by 10 points, and that was the series. Look, I'm not going to dwell on it too bad. I've had some time to process this, and of course I was upset at the time, but I keep saying that I would have been so much more angry if we had lost to Brooklyn. Okay, so we swept Brooklyn in the first round. I would have been so angry if we lost to Brooklyn. Then we make it to the second round, and the Bucks, I was like, okay, if we lose to the Bucks, like they were the champions last year, they have Giannis who gets every single call. He's a very dominant player. We don't have anybody that can guard him.
You lead with he gets every single call
He
before fucking best player on the planet.
Right, he does. So he does, but they were without Chris Middleton. So I would have been pissed. I would have been pissed if we lost that. Okay, then we won that in 7. Which now here's when the fatigue sets in. Okay, so then we come to the Heat series, and I would have been pissed if we lost to the Heat just because I don't like the Heat, and I've always thought we were a better team. So now this is to get into the finals, man. We beat the Heat, and I'm like, okay, we get there, and now we're going up against the Golden State Warriors, who only won one more game than us in the regular season, but obviously have the greatest shooter of all time, Steph Curry. They have Klay Thompson, who's back and healthy. They have Andrew Wiggins, who was an all-star starter. They had Jordan Poole, who was most improved player of the year candidate. I don't know if he won it or not, but
No, they gave it to Ja, but I think he could have won that award over
he
Ja.
definitely could have. So,
But
you know,
I digress.
so that I mean, like, losing to them is like,
Draymond, bro, Draymond.
yeah, I mean,
whatever you want to say he is
right.
as a basketball player.
I'll leave him out, but I mean, you know, they had dudes come back like Gary Payton. I mean, like, that dude
Holy
is.
Christ!
You okay?
Sorry, I just saw this jackass. He was honestly probably like 5 feet away from crashing into.
All right, you need to be safe over there, Al.
Oh, I'm good. It was probably like 50 feet in front of me.
Are you hands free right now? Are you hands free?
We're going hands free. We're going
Okay.
hands free.
All right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, it stings, but man, it stings just because I think we could have won. But when, Steph Curry is putting on performances, he was the leading scorer in the first 4 games.
Yeah.
And then Tatum finally woke up, maybe had 27 in game 5. And so this is what it was. This game 4 in Boston, this was the series, right? This was it, game 4. If Boston wins that, the series is over. Steph Curry goes off for 43 points. Andrew Wiggins has 16 rebounds. And that's when we lose the series. We lose it right there. Andrew Wiggins, 17, Klay, 18, Curry with 43.
That game was 100% all Steph, bro. Like, Draymond Green was 100% the worst player on the floor.
Not only was it all Steph, but not only was it all Steph, it was all Tatum and Brown. Because they played so poorly.
Dude, Tatum, like, I think a big part of it for Tatum was just the ridiculous workload. Like, he was playing 40 minutes a night, like 44 minutes. Like, he might even have like a 48 like thrown in there in the conference finals or the finals, like, or a 47. Like, and even though he's 23 years old.
Yeah.
Like, I see it all the time with Tom Thibodeau teams, Julius and RJ. They'll be having these great teams, and the fourth quarter comes around. They get their 2 minutes of rest, if that, and all of a sudden we wonder why we blow fucking leads and our offense gets stagnant because these dudes' legs are just gassed.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what happened to Tatum because
it is.
I don't know. Tatum became too ball dominant towards the fourth quarter. It looked like he wanted the Bleacher Report highlights, and he kind of just. He must have set the record for like fourth quarter air balls in an NBA Finals. Like, I don't know what the fuck some of that shit was.
I will say
bro.
that he did receive an injury that they really didn't report, but Victor Oladipo kind of gave him a shoulder stinger in one of the final games of the Eastern Conference Finals, and
I forgot about that.
He came out with that shoulder, and he kept playing through it. But I mean, you could definitely tell that something was bothering him, and all in all, I'm just. Looking forward, I don't think necessarily we'll be back here next year. Like, I can't bank on that, but I can bank that this team wasn't necessarily supposed to be here. They weren't necessarily supposed to reach the finals this year. This was going to be a kind of evaluate the team, see if we need a third star kind of thing.
This was definitely a make or break year for the Tatum Brown duo.
It was. It was, okay, do we need to spend the money and get Bradley Beal in here? Is Brown on his way out? But I think that they kind of found that with a healthy Robert Williams and a healthy Tatum, that I think that they absolutely can make that run. Just looking kind of forward ahead a little bit, even in the future. I mean, Al Horford, his contract. Once his contract is up, I'd like to think that he would resign here. I think that he's proved that this is really, where he loves to be. If we could take his contract, I think he's making like $25, $30 million. If we could take his contract and cut it in half, just cut it in half, right? Which he shouldn't be making that much. But next year he's going to be making $26 million. If after that or whatever if you can retool his contract to maybe be even like 10, 12 million, now you're looking at having a $15 million player.
Is next year Is next year his last year on that contract? It
No,
was 4 years, right?
next year is his last year. So yeah,
Yeah.
so next
So I
year
mean,
we'll have everybody that we have right now is still under contract.
like after that, it's not unrealistic to be like, all right, listen, Al, listen, you've made so much fucking money in your career, bro. Let's 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 see what we can bring to the table. If you take the veteran minimum right now, look at where else that money can go. You want to get that chip? You want to bring it back to Boston? This is how it's done. Or the mid-level exception, or like a little 2-year, $10 million type deal. Something like that.
Right. Yeah.
He's made so much money. He's made so much money.
Yeah, I think it is about winning now. I mean, he sees that he can get there, but I mean, seriously, like this team. Yeah, the Warriors had. I mean, they really do have like a big three, almost like a big four. Like Andrew Wiggins isn't that good, but he is an all-star starter. So they really are kind of a three-headed, four-headed monster at times. And obviously with Jordan Poole really kind of being so impactful, but the Celtics at times were just kind of like a 1-2 man show. Smart
That's exactly what it
is not an is not a person that you can rely on offensively. I don't know. That was just like my final takeaway is just that, man, like we made it and we won a couple games in the finals. We came 2 games away from winning a championship. And these guys are 25, 24. You know what I mean? And we did it with Derek White and Al Horford. You know what I mean?
Like when I look at the Celtics roster, there's really 6 guys that 6 rotation guys that I think should be back next year. Is Derek White he's an incoming free agent, right?
No, he is locked on contract for the next 3 years after this year.
Oh shit, nice.
And I see that as somebody that ends up staying. I do really like Derek
100%.
White. Yeah.
He's one of my guys. Obviously Tatum and Brown. Let's see if we need to break this duo up. That shit is over. Like that's your fucking guys right there. You know that you can get them there, and if you give them maybe 1-2 more scorers that they can rely on, you never know. You honestly never know.
Yeah.
Right. Marcus Smart. I would say he's like the heart and soul of the team. Like he'll be back.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Williams. Like, he battled injuries, but at the same time, like, he battled injuries. Like, he wasn't a fucking pussy about it,
Oh, man, no, he really did.
He's my French here, bro. He was
he averaged 2.8 blocks in the finals.
Dude, he had, like, that's, like, top 5 all time.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man, is he comes back healthy, and, there are games where he's just... I mean, he is, and I truly believe this. He is one of the, like, when he is on the court, he is one of the most, I don't want to say impactful players, but he changes the game. Like, he really does.
I agree 100%. And I think for me, like, when I watch the Knicks games, like, I feel almost the same exact way about Mitchell Robinson. Like, obviously he's had his fair share of injury stuff as well, and he hasn't done it on the big stage like Robert Williams. But, like, I watched the Celtics make that playoff run, and I'm like, the Knicks would be fucking crazy to not re-sign Mitchell Robinson and be like, all right, so you see what Robert Williams is doing?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going to have you doing. Like, just a player like that that's so mobile and athletic at the 5, has, like, crazy shot-blocking instincts, but then you switch him up on a guard. Like, Mitchell Robinson through the first 4 years, like, he was as good at blocking 3-point shooters as, like, anyone I've ever seen. And then I watched the Celtics playoff run, and I'm like, oh shit, Robert Williams has that in his bag too. Like, he was all defense second team this year, Robert Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he wholeheartedly. Who was first? Gobert?
That's probably.
I don't know, man. Whatever. Like, Gobert's Gobert, but I would not mind if people went away from if people just went away from seeing the name and been like, and look at what Robert Williams did anchoring the best defense in the league.
Something I do want to dive into free agency real quick. I do want to talk about the Celtics free agency first, just as a segue. But I just want to comment real quick on the Warriors. Just because they're the finals, they won the finals this year. I mean, probably how it works is they'll be finals favorites next year. I mean, that's just how it works. They will be entering a contract year for, I think, Jordan Poole, because he's got so that will be interesting. Having him have the qualifying offer the following year. Let's see if he gets a big extension. But other than that, this band is back together. You have Curry making 48, Clay making 40, Wiggins making 33, and Draymond making 25. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. At this point, you have to, you absolutely have to, whatever Jordan Poole wants, you got to be like, all right, bet, because you're not going to be able to replace that shit in free agency.
No, he's going to be a highly sought after player. Finish what you're saying? I'm sorry. Golden State Warriors are actually number 1 in team payroll.
I know. Yeah, they were like $2 million over Brooklyn or something.
Yeah.
Was it Brooklyn or the Lakers? One of those two.
I think it might be the Lakers. I don't know.
I want to say Brooklyn was 2 and the Lakers were 3.
Okay, yeah, maybe. Wick Grusbeck, one of the owners of the Celtics, was just on Boston Sports Radio and was saying that they were just asking him about the salaries or whatever, how it would work, and basically he had said that, look, this Celtics team is the Celtics have never been like about making money. You know what I mean? He's like, we're trying to win some fucking games. Like, we're trying to win some championships. So he was like, yeah, we'll go into the luxury tax. We'll do what we got to do. So that being said, it's interesting because I look in the free agency market and, there are a lot of players here that could absolutely help the Celtics. I'm just going to look first as a Celtic with my Celtics glasses on, and then we can look as kind of a whole. But so right off the bat, the first 4 players that have player options, the first kind of big players are James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, and Kyrie Irving. All 4 of those guys have player options, and obviously, I do want to talk about Kyrie. But just real quick, I just some names that I see here that can help the Celtics next year, at least to get back to the same place, if not further. Somebody like Joe Ingles is very interesting.
Joe Ingles. Dude, Joe Ingles would be such a good fit.
Yeah, I mean, we just need that pure scorer, and he could absolutely be a fit. Somebody like TJ Warren, relatively young. And these guys aren't that expensive. They're all going to be about in the $10, $12 million range. Somebody like Taurean Prince, I think you can get cheaper than that. But he's a good 3-and-D guy. Montrezl Harrell is on here, but he's low.
He has a player option, or he's just straight up free agent?
He's free agent. All these guys are free agents.
Dude, Montrezl Harrell's a weird player because, he sometimes popped off. I literally, you just forget that he was on the Hornets after the trade deadline. He sometimes pops off, and sometimes is kind of I don't know, this limited player that would have been crazy in the 90s, but plays an old style game.
Yeah.
And it's kind of he's not someone you could build your team around, but if you can get him, it's okay, all right.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that's somebody. I mean, he kind of echoes Robert Williams, but if we're committed to playing that kind of small ball game that we were, then I think that could really be beneficial.
Yeah. And he could even start at the 4, and then you bring Al off the bench too.
Right. Exactly. Just because you need Al out there still, but to give him kind of a break, dude. There are a ridiculous amount of role players available,
which is good for a team like Boston.
Oh,
because
dude.
that was going to be. I forget if I think it was implied, but the last guy I said to keep was obviously Al.
Right.
Like, not that you really have that much of a choice with his contract, but like at this point, like he's invaluable. Like what we saw, dude.
I would love to make you know what, and I maybe even implore you to do the same thing when you get home, and maybe we can attach it somewhere to this video or whatever. But I would like to see, or I'd like you to just go through and make your New York Knicks for next year with these free agents. I mean, dude, I'm looking at
Dude, I like that.
I'm looking at people like Damian Lee, you know, Malik Monk, Tony Bradley, Gary Payton II, Ron Neto, Bol, Wesley Matthews, you know, Gary Payton, Bielitsa, Alfred Payton, you know, was trash, but
Alfred,
like Otto Porter,
dude, automatic.
Victor Oladipo, Andre Drummond, Hassan Whiteside, Austin Rivers, like Carmelo, like these guys are all free agents. Dwight Howard, Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge,
dude.
Like,
I don't know how you would feel about that, but Austin Rivers could have a role on any playoff team straight up.
He's just a point getter. I remember that.
Dude, he is, bro. He's sometimes like he had 2 games against the Jazz where he scored 20 points in a quarter.
Wow.
I don't know what the hell that was about, but like overall, I really messed with that dude. Like before he was on the Knicks, I was like, he's like fine. Like he kind of like didn't really hit his potential. Like some people called him like Daddy's boy and whatever because like he played for a Doc once, maybe twice. I forget. No, I think it was. I don't think he played on Sixers, but I'm not sure. But anyways, like he got here and like he like played pretty hard on defense. Like he had like a good attitude. He seemed like a fine like he brought some leadership to the table. But like he would just get buckets, dude. Yeah. Like he could just like shoot. Like your offense goes stagnant. Like even the ball, like he'll just pull some stupid ass 3, and all of a sudden it goes in. Like
yeah,
I don't know. And he did that on the Nuggets too. Like I watched a decent amount of Nuggets basketball, and he did that a lot for the Nuggets. So if they don't retain him, I feel like he could be a perfect guard off the bench for Boston.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the thing is we just need more people that can score the ball. Boston's offense was so stagnant, and not just in the finals, but at times in the Eastern Conference Finals too, where it's just give Tatum the ball or give Brown the ball, everybody clear out of the way, and just it's the end of the shot clock, and let me go throw it up the ball, and hope it lands. I mean, I'm looking at guys like Patrick Mills, Dennis Schroeder obviously didn't work out, but you know, maybe with a second chance.
Dennis Schroeder actually does really like Boston. Like he got a Celtic tattoo, bro.
Yeah, he'd come back.
That was a little bit of dick eating, but
yeah, he did. Another name on this list that is not kind of the scorer that we're talking about though is DeAndre Ayton, or even at a cheaper option, Mo Bamba.
Dude,
both of those players are interesting.
Intriguing. If they draft Chet Holmgren, like long term, like you got to be like, all right, he's probably playing the 5. But they also have Wendell Carter Jr., right? So that if they draft Chet, that's their 4 and 5. Like you can't like do this fucking weird shit that they did with Mo Bamba, where they re-signed Vucevic.
Yeah, you can't play 2 centers.
Don't develop him. Yeah. Like you can't. No. So you have to be like, all right, Mo, you're a restricted free agent, so we can still get something for you. Like, we could do a sign and trade, but he's an incredibly intriguing player because I don't think the Magic developed him very well and cared about developing him very well. But he shot the 3 ball really well, and he could be a guy, if he's like a starting center, plays like 30 minutes a game, he could give you 2 blocks a game. Mm-hmm. I feel pretty confident about that.
What do you think about DeAndre Ayton, though? I mean, he's more of a star player.
I feel like
is he on the move?
Like, are we talking about the Celtics or just in general?
Both. Give me your quick take on both.
I feel like the Celtics would be extremely tough. Like it would probably involve trading them Robert Williams.
Because he is a restricted free agent.
Yeah, like for them to not match, they'd probably want back Robert Williams. I don't know. Maybe
they
Mark
don't get
Smart.
anything.
No, because he's restricted, so they can match.
Yeah,
So
they
if
can
they're like,
match.
listen, we have the ability to match, but if
If you
we
give
could
us
not
something,
match if
yeah,
you do a we could not match if you do a sign and trade. It's like
yeah.
that kind of deal. I don't know. I feel like for the Celtics, I don't think you're going to replace Robert Williams. I think Robert Williams is like if you don't have a Jokic or an Embiid or someone like that, he's the perfect kind of center to have because he doesn't demand the ball, but he does everything that you need him to.
Yeah.
Um, I it seems that there is legitimate beef between the Suns and Ayton, but I think it would be ridiculous for the Suns to not bring him back. I just don't, unless it was a sign-in trade and they got like a comparable player or like somebody even better that's like older.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it makes sense to let somebody that young who does have talent go. Who was the other guy that we just mentioned? Was it Mo?
Mo Bamba.
Mo. I didn't know if there was like a third guy. I think Mo. I could see as a legitimate option for the Celtics. Because he probably won't command a ridiculous amount of money, and he is restricted. Like he probably, like if you're like, oh here you go, take like Grant Williams or like Pritchard or something, or like our first round pick this year, or like not even a first round pick, who fucking knows? Like you could probably just dump him something, and they'll be like, all right, have fun with Mo, take care of him. Like when you make a Pokemon trade.
Yeah.
Steve's naming everything trade. That still kills me. Um, I could see Mo Bamba as a legitimate option, and then it's like something I've thought about with the Knicks, where you have Mitchell Robinson for like almost half the game, and then you spell him for Mo Bamba, who can kind of do similar things, but then also shoot. And you have that for 48 minutes, and that's pretty damn good at the 5 spot. And the Celtics could do something like that as well.
I wonder
You
if
know,
Gary. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, do you know how much cap space you guys have? Just because I know obviously Tatum, Brown, and Horford make a lot.
It says negative 40 million.
That sucks, but also that's what makes a restricted free agent even better is that it would be even more inclined for both sides to do a sign and trade because if they sign him, I mean obviously he would still have to fit under the cap, but if you trade away money that matches up with whatever you end up paying Mo, it's just like a trade, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like the money just has to match up and then it's good. So
I was gonna say I wonder if somebody like Gary Harris, who makes 21 million now, but has been on quite a decline for the last few
yeah, what
years.
is that about?
I mean, he only averaged in 61 games this year. He only averaged 11 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. So, while playing 28 minutes a game for the Magic. So, I wonder if that 20 million contract goes down to something like 12 or 15. And at that rate, I think that's a good deal for a player like Gary Harris.
Honestly, I think even 15 is too much. Like, this is probably his best year in the last 3 years. The 11-2-2, like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
About that,
like, he was kind of like him
well,
and Jamal Murray.
I was going to say that the last time he played this many games in a season, the last time he played over 60 games in a season was 2017, and he averaged 17 points, 2.5 boards, and 3 assists while shooting 40% from the field. Since then, he's played 57, 56 games, and both of those years he's averaged 10 and 12. So, I mean, like, he's a scorer, but, I mean, at what clip, not necessarily a great clip, but this year on those 28 minutes, on those 11 points, he shot 43% from the field, 38% from 3. So I don't know. Seems like his 3 ball is struggling a little bit, but
like 38 isn't bad. I just know he had some even worse seasons in there. Like I feel like you could probably get him for even less than 10 or 12 mil. Especially because he's gotten bank in the past.
I want this to be a year for the Celtics. I'm sorry to cut you off. I want this to be a year for the Celtics that we actually do something in free agency. The Celtics are like known for not doing anything in free agency and the deadline. Those are two things that we never make moves at. And this past year we did make moves, and it got us to the finals effectively because we got Derek White and we got Daniel Tice, who really didn't do much, but we got Derek White, and he was pretty big in the finals. So he averaged. Let me find. He averaged 10 points per game in the finals, a rebound and a half, and 2 assists on 26 minutes. So he definitely had an impact. He was the highest scorer other than Jalen, Jason, Marcus, and Al. So
yeah, I mean, he had some, like he really did have some great games. Like he had a couple duds, but he had some great games. Like, and like he had some big playoff games with the Spurs in the past as well. When they're kind of like towards the end, after I think it was after they traded Kawhi, or like maybe one of the years when he was injured and they still made it, and he had like a 30-point game, like in a closeout game, and they lost, and everyone was like, "Damn, this kid can actually like play." Like he's a big game performer, and like he's almost kind of like the opposite of Marcus Smart, where Marcus Smart is like this defense first, like grind it out, and he's kind of like, yeah, I'll play a little bit of defense too, but like he's got a good finesse game to him. Like he can create his own shot, and he can shoot the ball really well when he's on. Gary Harris will be like great off the. I could actually really picture him on the Celtics.
yeah, I hope so too. I'm okay with just kind of filling that role with some guards. And I know that money is obviously a factor, but some of these guys are going to take the minimum to play on a finals team. You know what I mean? If it sounds weird to say that, necessarily, but without being like, oh, we're a finals team. But like, really, I mean, you cut a lot of these guys towards the bottom. You cut somebody like, or I don't know. You need to see a lot more about an Aaron Nesmith next year. But Tice is making $8 million. You move that around. Jabari Parker is still getting paid this year. A lot of money's coming off the books. But if instead of just doing things like that, man, if you just pay like one or two like good minimum guys, or get a few guys on the minimum, that would be great. I'm gonna say, let's do this little bit here. I'm gonna say a player that's gonna be in free agency. I'd like you to tell me where they're going.
Oh, I like this.
Okay.
This is a classic.
Yeah, we'll just do a few.
Well, I'll take no more than 10 seconds to think about each one, and then
definitely no more than 10 seconds.
No, fuck that.
It's hard because you don't have the teams in front of you, but that's why
I
they
do
pay
now.
you.
I just
You just what?
the access to the I just pulled in and
Okay.
the driveway, so I'm
Okay.
I have access if I need it.
Okay. All right, let's see this. Start with an easy one. Serge Ibaka currently plays for the Milwaukee Bucks. He's making $9 million. Where's he going?
I honestly forgot that he was on the Bucks, which means that he's not staying there.
Where'd you say, Brooklyn?
No, I said Dallas.
Oh, Dallas. I like somewhere like...
Yo, does this make the audio better or worse?
I think it's better. Yeah, I'd say it's better. I'm going to say somewhere like the Grizzlies, honestly. I think they're bringing that grit and grind back, and they're a competitor.
I mess with that.
We already talked about some of these guys, but Zach LaVine.
I think he stays in Chirac.
Yeah, I think so too. 27 years old. He's making $19 million this year. I think he's going to get a bit of a bag. I don't know if they extended him or whatever, but he's definitely going to make a lot more than that. So that's going to be interesting for them to have to rework.
Yeah, they're capped out with a team that's like, the best case scenario is they get like a lucky matchup in round one year. Like, I'm sorry, their team's not nice like that. I said that in the beginning of the year, and I believe that. Like, DeRozan's not having another season that way. Lonzo Ball, maybe if they get healthy, but I don't know. They have no top tier talent. They have like Levine and DeRozan, like their ceiling is like B tier. I don't know.
Yeah, I believed in them in the beginning of the year before I saw anything, and they ended up being the 6th seed. I don't know. I feel like I was kind of right. Not right against you necessarily, but I kind of believed in the team. I did think they were going to be a playoff team. I thought they were going to maybe be a little bit higher. I just thought they had a lot of talent, but injuries kind of got in the way of Lonzo. Russell Westbrook. He's got a player option for $41 million, but there is obviously a lot of. I mean, he's definitely heard the chatter in the offseason about how washed he was and everything. But they fired Frank Vogel. They brought a new coach in. Does he? I mean, I'm gonna have to say he accepts that player option.
I think he accepts that player option,
But
I think
does he request a trade?
reason for me is that the Lakers have the most toxic NBA fan base, and LeBron has the most toxic NBA fans, and together they just created a fucking super team, bro. Super team of toxicity. And every year there's just a new scapegoat. And Russell Westbrook probably got it worse than any other player ever has. And I think he has to get out of that environment. Say also did play like dog shit for the majority of the year. I think for me, his landing spot is the Charlotte Hornets.
Okay.
And I don't know. I think part of it is just the fact that sometimes like it's a good spot for not quite washed up, but not in their prime stars to go to kind of like rehabilitate their image and whatever. And I feel like the other spot for that's the Wizards, and he already went there. So I think the next spot is Charlotte, and then you kind of have. I mean, the trade would probably require Terry Rozier going to the Lakers and maybe Gordon Hayward or whatever the hell they end up doing. But have him and LaMelo run like a little co-point guard situation that could be interesting.
I have an interesting one too, and it didn't really occur to me until now I'm looking at it. I think the Toronto Raptors may be a dark horse situation here, and here's why.
Ooh, I really like that. I actually really like that.
Yeah, I think Toronto lost. What's going on over there, Al? I got a lot of echo.
I don't know. I uncapped Gatorade. That's it. Is it any better or is it still trash?
Yeah, that's better. I don't know what kind of Gatorade you were drinking, but we're good. Look, Toronto, man, they had no business being here. They had no business being here. They lost Kyle Lowry to Miami, and then they end up climbing up and being the 5 seed, losing 2 games to Philly, but then kind of storming back. Or I don't really. I think they were down 3-0 or whatever it was, maybe 3-1. But they came back and won 2 games against.
It was pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, against James Harden and Joel Embiid. So I think Russell Westbrook in that situation might actually benefit. You have Scotty Barnes, you have OG, you have Pascal, kind of guys off ball that are going to be able to create on their own, but also need a facilitator. You have Fred VanVleet to work kind of a second. Guard, 2-guy guard. I just don't really know what they would give up to the Lakers. That's the only thing.
They're like a weird team because, like, it's like, do you see Siakam becoming the center? They have like their front court guys. They have Siakam, OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes. That's going to be 3, 4, 5, and then it's like they also have what's his name? Boucher was playing center, but like it's like, did they go get another center? Like, what are they? If they get a center, then one of those guys has to come off the bench, and it's like they're not going to be prioritized. So they kind of have a weird.
Dude, I think that Boston proved it, and not again to inflate Boston necessarily, but when we were matched up against goal, I think Boston proved that the ideal center position right now is 6'9", 6'10". I think that anything over that right now is just not versatile enough. I mean, we saw kind of Brook Lopez. I mean, he had good games in the Milwaukee series, but other than that, he was pretty trash.
Brook Lopez, we can call him a dinosaur. I respect the shit out of him, but he's in today's NBA.
So
age-wise and game-wise, he's a dinosaur.
When Golden State was playing Kevon Looney, he was getting thrashed. Okay, so he was too big. And then when they played Draymond Green at the center, he was getting thrashed. So it's that the 6'9", 6'10" is that kind of Goldilocks zone for center. And I think Pascal Siakam definitely fits that. I mean, because he can score, he can step outside and shoot. So I think he's a very interesting center to pair with Russ Westbrook. And he's able to get out of the lane and just let Russ drive. I know he's getting older, so I don't know, but I like that. I kind of like that. And if I had to pick one for the West, why don't you think of one for the West?
My brother was actually talking about Russ going to Dallas, and he'd be like, if that happened, don't get me wrong, I'd be kind of pissed. But he's like, was rationalizing dumping some of their shittier contracts, and then they can get a max slot next summer.
Mm.
And I was like, wouldn't. I mean, it would probably be like a Tim Hardaway Jr., maybe like Davis Bertans or something like that, or figure out whatever the hell they want to do. And I was like, all right, that's like not the worst. I don't see that because like they have Luka and they don't want to kind of like waste the year with a weird fit.
Yeah, I wouldn't. A team that I do like, however, is Sacramento. I think they have those larger contracts like Harrison Barnes to move. I don't know what Jeremy Lamb's making, but you can move and make that money work. But then also you'd have kind of this dual. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is just a smaller Russ. I think that these two guys would. I mean, you kind of stagger their minutes and then play them at the 1 and 2 in the last quarter, and you're just going to run people off the court. I think that might be interesting.
The only problem is on a bad day, like if they need to shoot their way back into a games if they're losing like that.
They just can't.
It sound like the beaches of Normandy.
Yeah, exactly.
My Western Conference team. That's tough. Am I like forgetting someone? Who? The Pelicans.
I feel like they're really jammed up, don't you think?
They kind of are, but
Jazz could be interesting. I don't know. I have to think of somewhere that doesn't really have a guard, and every team in the West really has one guard that can do it.
Let's have beef with the Jazz fan base too. I don't.
True.
I don't know if that would be I don't know how that would fit. Who am I forgetting that's on the Pelicans, bro? They're starting 5. Like they'll have Zion back next year. They have Ingram, CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum's kind of like their point guard.
Yeah.
I don't know how the money would work, but
Valanciunas too, and Larry Nance Jr. I mean, this is just a crowded team.
It is, dude. Think about Russ, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson.
It's just a lot, and I don't see the Lakers taking back Brandon Ingram.
That's giving my Western Conference team. No. It would not be Brandon Ingram. It would probably be a Valanciunas Russell Westbrook trade.
What about the dark horse, so to speak, Kyrie Irving?
He's definitely a wild card.
I see a lot of Knicks talk, Al. What's up with that?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to have to denounce it. I think it makes absolutely no sense for our timeline. If we get Kyrie Irving, what are we going to do? Like, first off, what are we going to trade? Like, it's probably going to make the money work. It'll probably be like Julius Randle. I mean, Julius Randle was like a little bit of a headache this year. Kyrie Irving is like 8 times what Julius was. Like, it would be a disaster with the media. He already kind of showed us he didn't want to be here because he picked the little brother Brooklyn Nets in free agency. While we had 2 max slots. I feel like at the end of the year, he was able to play home games in Brooklyn. So, I mean, I guess as long as that rule is still in effect next year, the whole vax thing. But, I don't know. Kyrie's kind of the player. He's kind of the ultimate version, or like the best version of like the idea of the player is better than the actual player itself. And it's like, if we're just playing 2K, it's like he has this like crazy ass handle package. He has a good scoring bag. Like he could finish around the rim. He has like great shooting range. He could shoot out to like 28 feet with ease. but we're trying to kind of build a young team, and like just getting Kyrie there, like he's not the veteran presence that you kind of want. He can't be the number one option on a title team. I mean, even as the number two option with a top 3 to 5 best player in the league, they just got swept in the first round. So like, it makes zero sense to me.
Well, where can he end up then?
In the Shams article, he mentioned us, the Lakers, and the Clippers. So he wants to play in a big market. The Lakers, it would have to be a crazy ass trade, probably involving Russ, AD, maybe, or like I don't even fucking know. Like me and my brother are trying to rationalize this, and we picked up some crazy trade that never happened. The Clippers would probably make a little bit of sense, but at the same time, if you're trading Kyrie, like what are you getting back? Like Reggie Jackson, Luke Kennard, like decent guys, but like I don't know if that's gonna win around Kevin Durant. So if it's even worth doing, I just don't know. I think he most likely stays in Brooklyn, but if he does get traded to either of those 3 teams, I think the Clippers might make the most sense, and then that would probably make them probably like a top 3 title favorite if they're somehow able to cook that up. Because I mean, Paul George is better than Kyrie, and Kawhi is obviously better than Kyrie. So neither of those 2 guys would be in that trade.
He is just. I mean, we always say that he's a very toxic player. He truly is. I think the most toxic player in the league. I'm getting a little feedback over there, Al. I mean, he's impossible. Any other player, I feel like if you were to take any other player in the NBA, like say if I were to take, I don't know, I'm going to look at random, boom. All right, my thing landed on Trey or the Hawks. So if you were to take Trae Young and put him on hold on. If you were to put him on the Charlotte Hornets, it would work. Him and LaMelo could work. If you were to take Damian Lillard and put him on any other team, the Nuggets, it would work. You know, if you were to take Kyrie and put him on any other team, you would need a situation to go around him. You would need to carefully craft that team around him, and I just think he's too mentally unstable to craft a team around him. My vote is that he just retires.
They straight up crafted a team around him and Kevin Durant, and it did not work.
No, but the team wasn't crafted around Kyrie. It was crafted around Kevin Durant.
Yes, but they signed their extension at the same time. Like Kevin Durant is the main focal point, but Kyrie is also like stapled in there
because Durant wanted him. I mean, that's the thing about the Nets is it really wasn't crafted at all. It was literally just let's just go get a bunch of names. Let's get Blake Griffin and Patty Mills and Ben Simmons. Let's not forget about him coming back. Joe Harris, let's bring him back. LaMarcus Aldridge, and it's Seth Curry. I mean, this was just let's get as many people as names.
Many names, dude. And let's remember back. I'm sure we could pull up an old Rock and Jouv episode after that free agency when I just said that it didn't make sense, bro. Brooklyn didn't make sense. Like they're not that huge media market that they thought it was. I thought just because it's in New York they would get that attention. They didn't because like 90% of New Yorkers are Knicks fans, and they thought that just those 2 guys, like they'd be able to craft this perfect team. They brought their buddy DeAndre Jordan over there, and it's like they had this core. They had Kenny Atkinson there, but the pieces didn't make that much sense together. Like Karis LeVert, he was kind of like a capped out player. Jarrett Allen, ever since they traded into the Cavs, and he got even better. But it's like that was like their core, and then D'Angelo Russell they let go, and there was one other guy I think that they let go of as well. I can't remember.
Really enjoyed that Nets team, man. They were coming back. I really liked D'Angelo Russell. They had Rondae Hollis Jefferson on that team. Man, I liked that team,
dude. And they were kind of like what the Knicks are now, minus Julius Randle, like, or maybe like when they made the playoffs last year. It's like a similar type deal where it was this young like upstart team. And they were like, no, fuck that. We're just going to bring in these other two guys and add it to it. And none of the pieces made sense. So they shipped them out. They got James Harden, definitely because they were pressured to get a third guy and go all in for a title. And it never made sense. And that's the biggest thing for me. That's what I said from the start. And that wasn't like, I can be mad if, like, it definitely hurt. Like, I didn't even think they were coming to the Knicks, but it hurt that they were willing to come to the state of New York and not pick our team. You know what I mean?
That sucked,
But
dude. I remember that.
yeah, but from an unbiased lens, it just didn't make sense to me from a basketball perspective, and it never has. Like, this was supposed to be the perfect scenario for Kyrie, and it just wasn't. What team do you never gave your team? Give me your team for him to go to.
I said I think he's just retire. I don't know. I don't see any team wanting to pick him up. I think he is a poison. I really do. I think he doesn't. I can't see a team that would that he would work with. I mean, he is such a great player, but the Heat he's not going to fit with. He doesn't have that. He doesn't work hard. Milwaukee, same thing. He doesn't work hard. He's not going to fit. And Sixers are off limits. Toronto's off limits because I think they have even stricter vaccination policies than Brooklyn. Chicago, it's too crowded. He's already on the Nets. The Hawks already have a point guard. Cavs have a good young thing going. Hornets have a good young thing going. Knicks have a good young thing going. Bradley Beal, I feel like, is kind of over. I don't know. If I had to guess, he just got rid of Russ. I don't think he really wants to play with a guy like that. Like, I think it should just be Bradley's Beal's team, and then let's build people around him. Pacers are rebuilding. Detroit sucks, and the Magic suck as well. Okay, so that's the entire Eastern Conference. Suns already have a good thing going.
Where that intrigues me the most is Miami.
No, dude, there's no way. Miami is like grit and grind. We played against them. They work hard.
Could you imagine fucking Jimmy Butler and Kyrie on the same team, dude?
I think he would kill him. I think Jimmy Butler would kill him.
The thing is, Kyle Lowry's old, like, not worth his money, and, like, Kyrie's an investment. Like, I don't even know.
But he's a bad investment, dude.
Dude,
he's a very volatile investment.
Kyle Lowry and hero for Kyrie. And maybe, like, throw some other random shit in.
If I'm Brooklyn, sure. I don't know. It's Kyrie Irving. I mean, he's top 3-point guard in the league, but he's just so mentally unstable. Suns aren't taking him. Memphis isn't. Golden State isn't. Dallas isn't. Utah isn't. Denver, maybe, but Jokic runs that team. He's a 2-time MVP because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota, I don't know.
Him and
Minnesota, maybe. I don't know.
I didn't fucking how pissed D'Angelo Russell would be. Is like, dude, I got fucking chased out twice for this asshole.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Then you're looking at the Pelicans, who, like you said, Zion is going to be the focal point of that team whenever he comes back. LA, all right, maybe. They all kind of don't really give a shit, so maybe LA works. Spurs, no. LA,
Dude,
or the other LA team, Lakers, maybe. Kings, no. Blazers, no. Thunder, no. Rockets, no.
The Lakers are so funny because they just have this weird fucking team and Russ doesn't work. It's just, like, so funny that this shit happens, and it's like, all right, any disgruntled player that was, like, a kind of a jackass, like, all right, we'll pick there and, like, see how the media experiment goes.
I think that Kyrie really should just go back crying to LeBron. I think he just knows that, like I think LeBron does kind of need him, and I think Kyrie can't really play with anybody else. He tried to play with KD, and they really haven't found much success at all. But he was perfect with LeBron because LeBron could just let him cook. He could just let him do some work, and then
they had a great thing together. Honestly,
they really did, and it's too bad that it ended
the
way it did. Yeah, no, you're right. I don't give a shit. But I mean, if you're talking LeBron, Kyrie, and AD, I mean that team can win a championship.
Yeah.
It sucks that Anthony Davis sucked because he is. I mean, he's the best power forward in the league, but he's just
Yeah, he's kind of like West Coast Ben Simmons, like much better, but like he's getting there.
Yeah.
He hasn't picked up a basketball since fucking April 5th, dude. That shit killed me.
Yeah.
There was you were naming teams, like a couple of them intrigued me. Like the Pelicans would be super crowded, like mad talent but crowded. The Timberwolves, like it would be D'Angelo Russell going back to Brooklyn, which is a
Yeah, that would be weird.
it's not a bad that's not a that is a little bit compelling. There is fuck, bro. Who did you mention like after Dallas?
After Dallas,
Just like one of
Utah,
them.
Denver.
Denver would maybe be like a Jamal Murray type thing, but I don't think it would work.
Then there was Minnesota, Pelicans, Clippers, Spurs, Lakers, Kings, Blazers, Thunder, Rockets.
Yeah, the Rockets aren't ready to compete. The Blazers, I don't know. I don't think they would go him and Dame on the same team. I think, yeah, I guess my other team would have been the Pelicans. Like, I don't know what the trade package would be. I'm not exactly sure. It'd probably be too many cooks. Like, they are going to have Zion, who averaged like 26 points on like 65% shooting coming back next year. Brandon Ingram, who's like great. And CJ McCollum, who was actually like a seamless fit for that team. I think for me the best one is probably Minnesota. You kind of just hope like him and Towns I think are pretty close. I know they're both New Jersey kids. Um, and Anthony Edwards, I don't know, dude. I feel like Kyrie and Anthony Edwards would be an absolutely unguardable backcourt, absolutely unguardable, and it would raise them from like what were they, the 7th seed this year? They couldn't close out games, like whatever. They could kind of zone in on Towns a little bit. To I don't know, because like obviously like the reason why that home Nets team happened in the first place is because Kyrie was a clear upgrade over D'Angelo Russell, and only basketball wise, like he definitely still is. And that one holds the most weight to me. I have no idea if Kyrie would want to play in Minnesota. Maybe it's like best for him to get him out of like the media limelight in Boston, or I mean Brooklyn's like not like that though. I don't know.
You know what sucks is if we weren't talking about Kyrie Irving, if we were just talking about player X, let's say, that had
Yeah,
all the
11.
yeah, then I feel like Boston could definitely use a player like that.
No, dude.
Somebody that
And
can
like,
absolutely go get their own bucket. Somebody that can, you know, that has the best handles in the league. If you were like, this guy has the best handles in the entire league. He averaged. Let's see how many points he averaged. Okay, so he averaged 27 points in 37 minutes a game. Shot 46% from the field, 41% from three. I did 4.5 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal and a half per game. I would say yes. Yes.
and it's like,
How much do I need to pay that guy?
and it's like, and you might be able to get him
Cheap.
for
Cheaper.
less than normal.
Right. Yeah, he's
And
going to
it's
be
like,
on a discount.
and then you kind of just, yeah. I'm gonna say the best option for him is Minnesota.
It's tough.
I don't know.
That's tough.
For me,
I really like Minnesota, so I don't want to see him go there.
I know, but it has to like it has to be worth it for Minnesota because like if you get him and then say you re-sign him to like a 3-year deal, right? Not like a max that like if he decides to run off and like quit basketball, whatever he would come off the books. I don't know, like so that it's not like a long term commitment, but it's whatever. If you get him, if you have him, Towns, Anthony Edwards on one court, I really like Jaden McDaniels as well. There's definitely a better than 0% chance that that team could end up being a title contender. Um, Like if they got the right pieces around them. And I feel like that trade would have to be worth it. With D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, and Towns, it's like that's like a nice team. Like we're building something nice, but like Towns is gonna be 25, like whatever he's entering his prime. Like Anthony Edwards is young. But it's like we're not drafting early enough to get somebody who is gonna impact this team too much, and we're capped out paying 3 max contracts once we pay Anthony Edwards. So where do we go to add guys to that team? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel, and then the sending D'Angelo Russell back to Brooklyn, and then maybe it's like D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley. So you give Brooklyn like another scoring option off the bench, or you could plug him in at the 3 or something. To me, I think that might be the most compelling option for Kyrie if he's willing to go there, and if they're willing to take him.
I still am in the school of thought that he should just retire, but that's just me, I guess.
I feel like what are the chances? What's a higher odds right now? Kyrie retiring this offseason, or him going to Minnesota and they make the conference finals? Oh shit! I just found out I work at 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. Fuck.
That's a kick in the balls. That is a kick in the balls. I guess for the sake of it, that guy's not going anywhere. He's not retiring. I guess I'm just gonna have to say, making the conference finals. Malik Beasley is still a good player. You know?
He is. That's a compelling trade. That's a compelling trade for me. Like maybe Brooklyn sends somebody else over too, just so it's like, all right, in case Kyrie doesn't work out, like we're giving you something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't know. I'm kind of gonna start this narrative right now. We need a trade machine episode. I don't know if we're gonna have the off season, the draft, everything comes up too fast. Like we'll probably do like a post draft episode, hopefully featuring Jaden Ivey to the Knicks. But if we did a trade machine episode for the off season, that would go so hard.
Yeah, I agree. Well, maybe we can look forward to that in the near future.
Yeah.
But thank you for listening to the Rock and Jouv show.
Thank you.
We always appreciate your listening, and we'll hopefully see you soon.
Absolutely. You guys take.
All right.
Rock and Jouv. Rock and Jouv. Rock and Jouv. Rock and Jouv. Rock and Jouv.